that law of grace, they are living in that divine flow. And I would suggest that in our busy modern world, turn off the darn phone, quit texting 24/7, 365. Find some time to meditate. Find some time to go within and experience who you really are.
How long do you suggest that people meditate if they're new at it?
I suggest that they meditate for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Meditate for, just take a few deep breaths. It's so simple to meditate. Just take a few deep breaths, get quiet, get still, get centered, get balanced within yourself, get into a state where you are at peace, and then ask God or your higher self or a deity that you believe in. Ask for lifting, ask for guidance, ask for inspiration, ask for healing. The great secret of having successful meditation is to ask. And asking is the same as praying. Ask. Just ask for a healing, ask for a lifting, ask a question. Ask to receive an answer to a question, It's really very simple to meditate. Doesn't take rocket science.
I'd like to talk a few minutes about the I am. I want you to share where I am originated from and why it's used in your miracle prayer book, why it's so important, and why it's so sacred and powerful.
The mighty I am presence is extremely powerful. It is the presence of God within you. It is your inner divinity. In India, it's called the Atman. The Atman is your higher self. And the I am self is that Atman. And I think that probably the first person who talked a lot about the I am self was Godfrey Ray King. And he was a wonderful spiritual person who lived in the first part of the 20th century. He wrote what's called the Green Books, or the books that are from the Saint Germain Foundation. And those books are definitely still available. You can get them online from Saint Germain Foundation. And his real name was Guy Ballard. And he talked about the mighty I am presence, and he wrote a book called the I Am Discourses. And his first book was called The Magic Presence. And I really do recommend these books because you will learn about what the mighty I am presence, the power of the mighty I am presence. So the I am is that presence of God within you. So when you are using the words I am, in fact, you are invoking that mighty I am presence every time you use and say the words I am.
That's why you have to be careful when you say it, what comes after it.
Exactly. So when you're saying I am joyous, I am happy, I am fulfilled, I am loved, you are creating positive vibrations in the atmosphere. Because remember, you create your own reality through your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And words are extremely powerful. And by the way, words are something that you have a lot of control over. You don't have to say, oh, I am so unhappy, I'm so sick, I'm so poor, I'm so fat. All these words, when you invoke the mighty I am presence like that, and you say words, those negative things after the words I am, you are creating manifestation very powerfully. That's the reason why affirmation is so important. That's the reason why I have to applaud, for example, Louise Hay, who really taught us about affirmation and wrote that book, Words That Heal, and Heal Your Body. Actually, I'm not sure she wrote that, but anyway, I'm not sure which book she wrote, but she did help us to understand that when we use the words I am, whatever we say after those words, it's very important that we say something positive. And I cannot overstate this. I cannot stress this enough. It is so very important what you say after you say the words I am.
Exactly.
Just button your lip if you're starting to say something negative about yourself and invoking those words I am. Just don't do it. Instead, say something else.
How do you get the subconscious mind to accept the I am declarations that are positive?
really the only way you can do that is continuing to do the healing prayers, continuing to state, continuing to affirm, because if you continue to affirm powerfully and strongly with your voice, using the spoken word to heal, you can transform that subconscious mind. And it does take some effort to do that. It's not going to happen by itself. You do have to spend some time and take some effort to change your mind. But the mind will change if you put effort into it.
I want you to tell us your translation. What is faith?
The thing about faith is that I understand skepticism. I understand people who are atheists, for example, because they have no evidence. They don't see any evidence. Then how are they going to believe? The reason why people have faith is because they've had experiences that have shown and proved to them that there's a reason for them to have faith. So that's why I believe that we should take baby steps in the directions of faith and not try to take, big leaps of faith right away. And just prove to yourself that, yes, this is going to work. So if you would learn how to use this, for example, this 9-step method of prayer, learn how to use affirmation, learn how to use prayer, and then start to use it. And then when you start to get results, that builds your faith. And then you get more results, you have more faith, more results, more faith. And with more faith comes more power. With more faith, your declarations, your affirmations, your prayers have more power because there's more faith behind those affirmations and prayers. And more manifestations happen more quickly. And so then your faith builds more. So this is a process. It's not instantaneous, although I'll tell you there is an instantaneous result after each affirmation and each declaration in each prayer that you say. There is an instantaneous result. But when you have that faith behind that prayer and affirmation, then it's more potent, more powerful. You can begin to pray for others, and it will have instantaneous results. And it's amazing the type of miracles that do take place through this method. The method that I'm teaching in the book Miracle Prayer, I didn't make it up. It's something that has been around for about 150 years. There are many great legendary people who came before me, and this method has been used by millions of people.
In the book, when you talked about how you had no money and you went on this book tour and you moved around the country, you went in your Ford E350 van. First of all, talk about what happened when you had no money and out of faith, you got in your car and moved around and went in your Ford around the country. Talk about that. I did something similar. I flew all over the country and raised $75,000 starting with $100 in my pocket, no place to live and no place to go home to, and got on a plane and left.
That's impressive.
I did that. Yeah, no, I did. The story of what happened to me to get to that point, unbelievable. It belongs in a comedy, action, thriller. But anyway, let's talk about your thing. But I wanted you to know I could relate so much.
Yeah.
Talk about what you did.
Well, there's a reason why I live on inner guidance and blind faith, and why I trust the still small voice within me. And that is because, as we were just talking about faith, we're talking about how faith builds. Well, faith builds when you listen to that inner voice, you do what you're guided to do, and then a miracle happens. And then you listen to the inner voice, and you do what you're guided to do, and then another miracle happens, and it continues like that, and it builds over and over and over again. And it was a time when I had to go on a tour to promote my book, and I was guided to go to these expos that are extremely expensive, to rent a booth at the expos and to speak at these expos, and to go all around the country speaking at these expos, in these booths, and so on and so on. And I didn't have any money. I had hardly any money. But just out of blind faith, I just got in that van and I just started to travel